In this section, we'll be discussing the price method. The price method works always with one specific tariff. So you pass it a tariff ID, and what price does is it tells you precisely what the cost of that tariff is at a requested time. So for example, you can ask what is the cost of the time of use tariff for Pacific Gas and Electric at 1 p.m. on September 1st. And you can specify it for a range of time, so you can actually see the upcoming price changes which occur on this tariff. So if we look at the structure of the object, there's basically two objects. There's a price summary, which is the tariff ID which you're asking for. The rate amount, which is how much it costs at that time. And then there's these price change events, and these tell you when this rate changes next at what time. And that also has a rate amount and then also the change date time. So if we look at one of the structures here, what we see is for tariff ID 520, the cost is 8.9 cents a kilowatt hour. But at 10 a.m. it's going to increase to 15 cents. That's a partial peak. And at 1 p.m. during heavy use, it's going to be at 31 cents a kilowatt hour, and then in the evening it's going to drop back down to 5 cents. So let's get into some operations here. For price, it's pretty straightforward. The URI is REST public prices, and then you pass it the master tariff ID of the tariff which you're interested in. And there's one required field, which is the from date time, and this basically says give me the cost of this tariff at this time. You can optionally specify a to date, and that'll give you the rate changes from and to that end date. If that's not specified, it defaults to 1 week after the from date. Consumption amount allows you to specify what the consumption is for that user or consumer who you're running this price for. If you don't know it, you can leave it blank, and we will just assume that it's a very heavy electricity user. And what we mean by that is some rates have different costs based on how much electricity you use, and so what we end up doing is if it's not specified, we will just default to the highest rate band within that for that rate. And if we look into an example here, we'll just go up here, say public prices, and we're going to ask it for 518 because we know that's a time of use, and that's an interesting one. That'll give us a lot of rate changes. And I'm asking for June 13th. So if we hit go there, we'll see that we have the current rate time, or the current rate, which is 9 cents, and then that goes to 31 cents during peak time at noon, and then off-peak time at 6 p.m. it goes down to 9 cents again, and then it goes up to 31 cents, and it keeps doing this over and over throughout the next week. And that is the price method.